Have you ever stepped into an Uber late at night, feeling that strange mix of relief and unease? You're tired, maybe a little buzzed, and all you want is to get home safe. But what if that ride turned into your worst nightmare? What if the person behind the wheel or the person sitting next to you wasn't who they seemed? Tonight, I'm going to share 3 real Uber horror stories that will make you think twice before ever getting into a stranger's car again. These aren't just stories, these are warnings. And by the end, you might just decide to walk home next time. So, turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and get ready, because these stories are about to get under your skin. It was a cold Friday night in Chicago. Emily, a 24-year-old grad student, had just finished a late shift at her part-time job. She was exhausted. Her phone was at 12%, and the streets were empty. She ordered an Uber, just like she'd done 100 times before. The car pulled up, a black sedan, just like the app said. The driver, a middle-aged man with a friendly smile, greeted her by name. She got in, feeling that small sense of relief. The doors locked automatically. She didn't think much of it, but as they started driving, Emily noticed something strange. The driver wasn't following the GPS. He took a left when the app said right. At first, she thought maybe he knew a shortcut, but then he started asking her personal questions. Where did she live? Was she alone tonight? Did anyone know she was out? Emily's heart started to race. She tried to text her roommate, but her phone died. She looked out the window. Nothing but empty streets and dark warehouses. She asked the driver to stop, but he just smiled and said, "Don't worry, I know a better way." Panic set in. Emily remembered something her mom told her. If you ever feel unsafe, make a scene. So she started yelling, banging on the window, screaming for help. The driver's smile faded. He pulled over, unlocked the doors, and told her to get out. Emily ran. She didn't stop until she found a gas station. Shaking and out of breath, she called the police, but the car was gone. The driver's profile disappeared from the app the next day. Emily never found out who he really was, but she never took an Uber alone again. This next story comes from Mark, a 32-year-old Uber driver in Los Angeles. Mark had been driving for years, mostly at night. He'd seen it all. Drunk college kids, tired office workers, even a few celebrities. But nothing prepared him for what happened one rainy night in March. He picked up a young woman from a bar downtown. She was quiet, barely said a word, just stared out the window. Mark tried to make small talk, but she didn't respond. He figured she was just tired. Halfway through the ride, Mark glanced in the rearview mirror. The woman was gone. The back seat was empty. Mark's heart skipped a beat. He pulled over, thinking maybe she'd gotten out without him noticing. But the doors were locked, and the car hadn't stopped. He checked the app. Her ride was still active. Suddenly, he heard a whisper, soft, right behind his ear. "Don't stop driving." Mark froze. He looked in the mirror again. The woman was back, but her face was different. Pale, eyes wide, almost hollow. She stared at him, unblinking. Mark did what anyone would do. He floored it. He drove straight to the nearest police station, heart pounding. When he pulled in, the woman was gone again. The back seat was empty, but the seat was wet, like someone had been sitting there in the rain. Mark quit driving for Uber that night. He still doesn't know what happened, but sometimes, when it rains, he swears he hears that same whisper in the back of his mind. Our last story comes from Jason, a 28-year-old software engineer in New York City. Jason was heading home from a friend's party, a little tipsy, but mostly just tired. He ordered an Uber and a white SUV pulled up. The driver was a young guy, maybe in his early 20s, with a baseball cap pulled low over his eyes. The ride started out normal. Jason scrolled through his phone, half listening to the radio. But after a few minutes, he realized they weren't heading toward his apartment. The city lights faded, replaced by empty roads and dark trees. Jason asked the driver where they were going. The driver didn't answer. He just kept driving, eyes fixed on the road. Jason's phone buzzed. A text from his friend. "Did you get home safe?" Jason tried to reply, but the driver suddenly reached over and grabbed his phone, tossing it out the window. Panic set in. Jason tried to open the door, but the child lock was on. He yelled, demanded to be let out, but the driver just kept driving, faster and faster. Finally, the car stopped in the middle of nowhere. The driver turned around, his face blank, and said, "Get out." Jason stumbled out of the car, shaking. The SUV sped off, leaving him alone on a dark, empty road. He walked for miles before he found a gas station and called for help. The police never found the driver. The Uber account was fake, created with stolen information. Jason still has nightmares about that night. He says he'll never use a rideshare app again. So next time you order an Uber, remember these stories. Remember that sometimes the scariest things aren't ghosts or monsters. They're the people we trust with our safety, the strangers we let into our lives, even for just a few minutes. If you've ever felt uneasy in a rideshare, you're not alone. Trust your gut. Share your location. Tell someone where you are. And if something feels wrong, don't be afraid to make a scene. Your safety is worth more than a 5-star rating. If these stories made your heart race, if they made you think twice about your next ride, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. You never know who might need to hear these warnings. Your support helps me keep sharing real stories that matter, stories that could save someone's life. And if you have your own Uber horror story, drop it in the comments below. You never know. Your story could be the one that helps someone else stay safe. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. And remember, sometimes it's better to walk